What's going on, guys? You're probably here wanting to know more about our lead generation process, how we've managed to get a lot more leads, and how we can do the same thing for you and your business in a very fast, reliable, and just generally consistent way than other methods that you've probably tried right now. So I'm going to explain everything right now on this presentation. Now, we call cold email a superpower. We weren't the first to coin that phrase. I'm sure it's been called a superpower plenty of times from a lot of different people or even agencies. But we actually learned this from someone that we've learned quite a lot from. And this person is called Alex Berman, who's scaled his agency to over 10 million through, cold email for as far as we have understood. And we've started to understand just how amazing and probable doing something like that is. Cold email is a way in which you can make literally something from nothing. If you want to get, a certain position, if you want to get a lead in a certain, company, one of the best ways to do it is using cold email, because you can go from A to B faster. You can reach out to that person and say, hey, I've seen your post on this, and I think I can do this and provide this value for you. And you can pack it in a very short cold email that provides value, that shows history, and that people will be able to click on, just like how you clicked on this right now. So a little bit about me. My name is Sam Matetwa. I'm the founder and chief alchemist at NewMarketingU. We're a full service / full scale marketing agency. I think we should have that change, because full service, a lot of marketing agencies say that they're full services, and I'm not here trying to say, oh, but we're different or we're this, but we specifically work in content creation, ads, and cold email. So there's some marketing agencies that will say, I can build a website for you, and I can also babysit your child, and I can host your birthday party or whatever. We don't do that. We're specifically in cold email, content creation, and just general marketing / advertising. I like the sound of full scale better though, because in everything that we want to do, it's all about operating at scale, right? Trying to make sure that we blow up whatever we're on, and make sure that we understand the assignment and do really, really well for you. We've been privileged enough to work in multiple industries, from restaurants, construction, all the way to dentistry. So there's many others, but those we've worked in multiple different industries. We've refined this over the time to work mostly with consulting firms and marketing agencies, but we've also had success with real estate companies and so on. Before we even started on this cold email journey, we were actually emailing dentists and trying to get them more clients or more patients, trying to cold email restaurants, trying to get them more people into their restaurants, trying to cold email construction companies to get them more leads. So we've worked in general in so many different industries, and we've learned quite a lot, and had quite a lot of failures and some successes. So we can even dive deeper on this cold email strategy than other people that you would probably outsource this to. Our work, we've been fortunate enough to win contract deals with brands and corps like Netflix, Oracle, Liverpool FC, and many, many more. We've won nearly all these contracts using that superpower called cold email. Cold email has helped to open so many doors for us, not just financially, but open up a rich and powerful network. Imagine trying to pitch your AI product to Elon Musk and reaching him directly. Imagine wanting a different career choice, and you can email that company of your dreams, or ask the CEO, CTO, CMO, just directly and say, hey, I have this idea that could bring you this value. Okay, so just imagine doing that. And that's something that we've been able to accomplish. Why do you need cold email? It's a lot more affordable than paid ads, and it's a lot more consistent, and it converts more too. And I'll tell you why a little later, but let me tell you my frustrations with ads. And don't get me wrong, I like ads. I love ads. Ads work. They're great. But, you know, here are my issues anyway. On average, business owners hate marketers because marketers promise everything to get you as a client and rarely get you what they promised. And it's not every marketer, but a good portion of marketers do this. And sometimes the marketers can actually try their best, but it just doesn't work out. So you see a lot of marketers where they're like, oh, we can also help you do this, or we can help you do that, and we can help you do that. And they promise all these things, not because they're bad people, but just because essentially sometimes they just can't actually execute on that thing. A lot of marketers are using paid ads to help you get to that overall goal. And I know so many people that are like, I spent $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month on this marketer, and I've been getting like just a few clicks on my website. I haven't got the phone ringing. I haven't got people joining my email list, etc. And that's because there's many reasons for it, but if they're really trying their best, it's probably because ads are notoriously difficult to master, and a lot of marketing agencies haven't actually mastered ads. But on their website, they'll put, oh yeah, we run ads, right? I know because I failed multiple times, and right now I'm going to tell you the first time that I failed. I lost over £10,000 in, like, I think my first try. So my first month and a half or so, I lost over 10,000. That's about $13,000. And this was on YouTube ads, believe it or not. A lot of people will say, oh, it's Facebook, etc. But it's on YouTube ads. And that's because I didn't have someone that walked me through something or whatever. I did this myself. I just wanted to learn and just go on. Now it's easy enough, but believe, just because it's easy enough doesn't mean that you cannot get it wrong, because you can. And my main concern was with YouTube. It was with the actual support calls. So I would call in YouTube on their YouTube ads number and say, hey, listen, I am lost. I don't know how to run this ad. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. And I wasn't getting the results that I thought I should be getting. And from time to time, I'd call YouTube to be like, hey, listen, how come this isn't getting views? Or how come this isn't getting people clicking? Or how come this isn't doing this? And quite a lot of the time, they're offering some of the most basic advice that they have probably learned, which is good, like they've probably been taught it. But you would want someone that actually went through some of the things that I went through, because they didn't necessarily understand certain issues that I was facing. Because essentially, they also didn't understand the service or the product that I was providing. A lot of the time, you need to know if someone's product or service is good. If it sells without ads, the chances of it selling with ads is really, really high. But if the thing can't even sell for free or for like a low enough price, how can it sell with ads? So there's a lot of things that they weren't like mentioning to me. And also when it came to ads, running the actual ad, you get on call with a lot of different people, and they give you a lot of different advice. Someone will be like, dude, who told you? Who told you to put this and this and this? Who told you to put keywords and topics? You should actually put just topics. And I would call again like 2 weeks later after I've burnt out a lot of cash. They'll be like, who told you to do that? It's not keywords and topics, dude. It's audience, then topics, then keywords. Then you see what I'm saying? So it keeps changing. And it's only when you burnt so much money, or burnt quite a reasonable amount of money, then they get you on to someone that's called a YouTube manager that actually knows what they're talking about, you know. So yeah, that's at that point. But even with them, you know, it's not like they know everything inside out. Okay, there's a lot of things that they don't know. So that's my problem with ads in general. Ads change, ad costs rise, and ads are copied, unfortunately. If your ad starts working, then it's super easy for someone to just pick your ad out and say, oh, I'm just going to copy that guy's script and copy how his website looks like, or copy this. I mean, copying happens anywhere, but with ads, it's a lot easier, okay, for you to be copied and then washed over by someone with just a much bigger high budget than you can even commit to. So Facebook ads, for example, are getting increasingly strict. I've used Facebook ads too, not just YouTube ads. With Facebook ads, for me, yeah, it was okay. It worked pretty well. YouTube works way, way better. The thing with Facebook is that, recently we had our ad manager account closed. And I didn't really know why. It had stated the reason, but it was so vague. And I was like, okay, so what happens now? What do we do now? And this stuff happens when you're running ads. It's going to happen. You're going to come across these issues. And probably YouTube in the future could probably be like Facebook. And the ads costs are going to rise because people are jumping from this to this big, big ocean that is YouTube. And obviously there's other ads like TikTok ads if you're using them, and LinkedIn ads, whatever. But YouTube is like probably, in my opinion, one of the best. And it might happen with YouTube soon too, where everything rises and everything gets more complicated. I don't know who said this, but it stayed with me. The quote is, advertising is like sex. Only losers pay for it. Okay, so it stayed with me. I don't know who said that. We always want to be thinking about how can we grow without ads. Okay, so that's something I've been learning from so many other people, and also I've been teaching from the things that I end up learning and how, just to pass on this sort of knowledge. Apart from, of course, organic content. Okay, cold emails has been the best way to grow. So if you're not doing cold emails right now, or cold calls, or you don't have a certain strategy to reach out to your clients, you're probably using organic. So you're probably posting every day on LinkedIn, okay, hoping for new leads to come through. You're probably posting every day on YouTube. You're probably posting every day on so many different things. So that's to tell you that cold email has been the best way, because I can just get from point A to point B a lot quicker without churning out like hundreds of pieces of content every single day. How do you use cold email? We use tools like LinkedIn and other lead scrapers to import your near match dream client and place them on a list. We are also developing our own privately owned scraper to better feed and speed up this search of very high quality leads. So again, we use LinkedIn, but we also use other platforms too. We know reliably how many emails we need to send out and what our response rate should be, what the follow-up should be, and in general, here's some little math for you. Let's say you have a goal of bringing in an extra 50k this month. You would sit down with us and we'll craft an email that your audience will love and respond to. So we have to understand what you're selling, what your audience will be interested in. We have to know you. And after we craft this email, we know with near certainty that if we send out 1,500 of these targeted emails, okay, we usually get open rate of 75%, if not higher than that, a tiny bit, which is pretty good. And a meeting rate of, let's say, if you can book in about 45% of people through how you respond and your follow-up, etc. And if the offers are irresistible or not, if you could close at least 5% of that 45, you'll get on 25 calls. Okay, and that could be depending on how many leads or how many emails you'd want to send out, but that could be during that week. Okay, you can get on 25 calls. That's if you can only get 5. If you get more than 5%, then of course you get more calls. But if you just get 5%, you can get on 25 calls at $2,000 each. So you can pretty much break 50k pretty easily. So we would gather information through certain lead scrapers. So it could be stuff like LinkedIn. So if you're using LinkedIn Sales Navigator to try to get clients by connecting with them or messaging them or etc., which is great because you're building relationships, and building relationships is key in business too, right? But what we would do with our system is we'll go on stuff like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, stuff like Uplead, different sorts of websites too. It could be Yelp, all sort of sites. And we would go into the specific industry that, for example, we want to reach out to, or that you would want to reach out to. So if you're in IT, if you're in hospitality, if you're in real estate, marketing, consulting, business coaching, whatever, we would reach into that industry and pretty much find out first what the revenue of that company is. So how much money is that company making? How many employees does that company currently have? Also, who are the key players? Who are the decision makers in that business? What is their business about? We'll find that out very quickly, scraping information from various different websites. So that's the first step that we do. And by finding out how much money they make and how many people are working there and the key players and their story and what they stand for, we pretty much it helps us to pre-qualify this client. Of course, it's literally impossible to make sure that every single person is correctly pre-qualified, but that's why you eventually have to get on a phone call or a Zoom call or something with them to actually find out if they're the right fit for you. So that's the first step. Then the second step is, once we've gathered this information, the system compiles it into an Excel sheet. So very big Excel sheet, and neatly placed in there with, for example, the data that you'd want to know. So that your data inputs could be an email, it could be a phone number. It also is like where the company is based, the key decision makers and their names and their emails, which is an important factor, of course. After you gather this information, the system would want to send a personalized first initial email. So a personalized first initial email is, after we've gathered all this data, we'll put it in the system and send those emails in a personalized format. Now, what usually happens here is you pretty much have to write something that can fit or suit your key niche, your key audience, without making it seem strange. Now, this system would say, "Hi, Jacob, are you interested in this?" And we've seen, and then it collects a certain data on their website or something, so it can put a little personalized twist to it, and that the email is pretty much compiled. Now the email looks really personalized, like to the T. So that's the first initial email. What usually happens from here is, if the email worked and it did a really good job, depending on how the email is crafted, you usually go on a phone call with them or a Zoom call, and it will be up to you then, or your sales team, to close the deal, right? So that's what usually happens. Now, what about if someone doesn't bite? Okay, well, there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is your email probably wasn't drafted that well. Okay, so it wasn't drafted that well, and it probably didn't give a sort of offer, an irresistible offer that someone would want to bite straight away and say, "Yeah, I'll go on a phone call with you. I don't mind seeing what you're about." The second reason is you might just not have been a right fit at that particular time. You could have been the right person, but probably they're not looking for that. Probably they've hired a few people around that, an agency, a company, coach around that sort of thing right then and there. So that's probably why too. There's a lot of reasons, but that's the two most popular one of why people don't reply and get on a phone call with you. Now, what would happen is we'll send follow-up emails. Now, personally, I made a video before about how I don't follow up, or why I don't follow up if I was to do this manually. Okay, and I usually want to follow up after a phone call, because I know that that person is serious enough since they've taken time out of the day to go on a phone call with me. But if, for example, you're using this system that we've been using, it gives great follow-up structures and sequences, right? So if they don't reply, a day or 2 days later, we'll send a follow-up and say, "Hey, we sent this email, just want to check up, did you get it, did you like it, etc." Then another follow-up email of like, "Hey, we're also including this in the offer," or whatever. You have to draft it out really well yourself. Then another follow-up email. And what usually happens here is, usually with about a few follow-up sequences, we can get them on the phone or Zoom call. Now, there are some cases in which they don't follow up, they don't go back into the follow-up section. Okay, so this person is someone that will just want to move on from and pretty much, remove from this system. Now, if you do get them on a phone call from the first initial email or the follow-up sequences, then you go on phone call and you close the deal. And this system is pretty much that simple. We've managed to take this kind of manual aspect from what we used to do in acquiring clients and put it in a system that we can actually use for you. So it's a package or software that we can actually use for you. And this has what's been working to get you on this video watching. And a little secret, as I said before, is this is a way more consistent, reliable, and affordable way to get clients and deals closed a lot faster. Usually using stuff like Facebook ads, people tend to see a like 1.5 to maybe 3.8 times return. Sometimes people can, and this is the rare sorts, maybe get a 10x return on investment from their ad spend, so ROAS. Also using YouTube ads, which has worked really well because a lot of people are on Facebook, right? So YouTube, even though a lot of people are using it now, it is still a blue ocean and a market that hasn't been tapped. So with this, you can get at least nearly double this, okay, on Facebook ads. But this system here, the return has been phenomenal because you're not spending as much money to get as many people and as many deals closed. What will it cost going in-house or hiring? Now, if you already have an in-house team and you're just trying to learn, then that's fine. If you're considering hiring though, like other people, you need to consider this, right? You'll need to consider a salary, their training, tracking workload management, quality assurance to get an actual rep that can help you with this. Now, this could cost you north of 45,000 if you're hiring like a really good person, if you're hiring like 2 or 3 people to help with this process. Okay, but with us, we start from as small of an option as $600. But this actually depends on how many leads that you'd want to get. So this is something that we need to get on a phone call with and just break down. If we're just not a right fit, we're not a right fit, right? So there's many different ways to contact us or that will reach out to you after you've reached out to us. But yeah, we want to go on a phone call and see if this is something that we can possibly help you with. All right, guys, all the best.